Welcome back to Arise News Hour. I'm Charles Anyagolu in London. Here are the latest developments in the Ukraine war. NATO, G7 and the EU have held emergency summits in Brussels today. NATO's Secretary General says the alliance has approved major increases of forces in Eastern Europe, with 4 new battle groups sent to Slovakia, Hungary, Bulgaria and Romania. The announcement comes as the war enters its second month. Well, let's take you straight away now to our correspondent in Ukraine, our chief correspondent for that matter, John Cookson, who's waiting to talk to us live from Kyiv. Over to you, John.
Officially from the Ukrainian government tonight on NATO's decision to send 40,000 troops to its eastern flank, to the countries south of Poland, but I can tell you, Charles, that there'll be a huge disappointment here in the capital, in the government, that there's been no real progress in terms of supply of aircraft. Of course, what the government here really wants is the establishment of a no-fly zone. The Ukrainians really want to try to get command of the skies if they can. They only have 100 warplanes in active service at the moment. They were largely mothballed after the creation of Ukraine's independence in 1991. 70 MiGs and 30 Sukhois really is just not enough to give them clear sky cover for the whole of Ukraine, and they're desperately short of Soviet-era MiG fighters. Now, Poland has them. And, you know, the Ukrainians can't really understand why those can't be released. But NATO is very strongly against that because, of course, the great fear here is that this could lead to an open conflict between NATO and Russia, which, of course, NATO wants to avoid at all costs. It's 4 weeks to the day since the start of this war. It's very much a time, I think, of reflection here in Kyiv. Life goes on as normal. Some shops are open. You see some people wandering along the streets in the center of the city. The road sweepers are at work. The railways are running. As you can see, the electricity is on and the internet works. So to an extent, life is almost normal, of course, but there are no people here. That's the point. And although it's a time of reflection, it's a time of thinking about those who've been killed, thinking about families who've gone to a new life in other countries. This country has changed forever, and people here know that, and they're missing loved ones, the ones that have remained here in Kyiv. Throughout the day, there's been the sound of distant artillery fire. My understanding of that is that it's outgoing Ukrainian fire at Russian forces to the north of the capital, and tonight Russian forces are encircled by the Ukrainian military. So a dangerous situation developing there, because at some point the Russians are going to have to fight to free their soldiers who are trapped in that northern pocket. But again, it's a huge sense of disappointment that NATO has not really progressed tonight to any great degree. And I believe that this evening President Zelensky will give NATO and the West a bit of a roasting, frankly, in his usual evening address. That's all
it's
from
7:30
tonight from Kyiv. Back to you, Charles, in the studio.
Very much indeed. John Cookson, Arise chief correspondent there, talking to me from the Ukrainian capital Kyiv as the war enters its second month, and NATO leaders are meeting in Brussels to discuss their response to the conflict.